And welcome everybody back to Waffle Board Breaks, eve of the NHL entry draft. Hope everybody's excited. Hope everybody's hope some people are somewhat draft nicks like myself. I'm very excited to enjoy some of the drafts. Obviously, it's a slow go over the course of the night, but it definitely. I mean, if you watch the recap where you record it and fast forward it, if I'm not watching all of it live. It's good to see the players selected. Obviously, they switched it up. Unfortunately, it's decentralized. The teams are not there live to select the players. I think they said they're inviting 100 players or so to the location, and of course, they're going to make the announcements, and of course, the players will be able to come on stage. But the teams are actually not there. It's the first time since the pandemic when they did it completely remotely. So I mean, it's kind of a bummer. Like I said, I've attended several in my life. I've been to Hartford when they still had a team. The draft was there. I've been to Philly for it. I've been to Newark in New Jersey when they had it there. And like I said, it's a fun time. It's lots of fun exhibits, and the families are there with the players. Of course, nobody knows who they are. The majority of them before they get drafted, which is fun. Seeing the players and the families in a less formal setting. Obviously, they're there for the night of their child's lives to see them drafted, of course. And it's good. It's big. It's like it used to be like with your tables, the phones on the arena, and that's gone away. I mean, obviously, it was in the sphere out there in Vegas. I think last year that's where they have their award ceremony, and it was. I guess they say it's I guess they're saying that it's logistically it's still going to be an issue for the because obviously you got to have the timing's got to be right. Everybody's got to be no lags, of course, when you're doing it remotely. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, I mean it's a new way to do it. Obviously, they did it once in the pandemic year, but they're still going to have the players all there locally to be selected. Of course, the 32 picks on day one, and then everything else will be on day two. Or I don't know if they're doing a day three anymore for the later rounds. But like I said, the players will be there to be picked in person. But of course, it'll just be good old Gary Bettman on stage with I guess, making the selection. So it's gonna be interesting to see him. Yeah, I'm excited to see the players, the young players, get drafted. Obviously, the future of the league. Some pretty good players in this batch. Always some top picks are potential future superstars and potential future Hall of Famers, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, this is an interesting batch. One standout all around defenseman, one monster scoring forward from junior, and then everybody else is kind of falling into position for if a team needs that kind of player. I mean, you hear the comps thrown around for the players being selected this year. You hear Barkov, because obviously there's a Finnish forward that plays an up and down game. And you're hearing guys like Brady Tkachuk's name because that's kind of like the unicorn that teams want to have. Because he gives you a little bit of the hockey grit as well as the scoring ability, and he's the captain of the Sens. So it'd be interesting to see, obviously, going forward if how the young kids mature and able to get with their team. So like I said, I mean it's always a good time. I mean, obviously the draft is fun. Like I said, I've been able to attend some, so it's like I said, there's never an off season. You're here, obviously with the draft. We're on the eve of the draft. Obviously, the NBA's draft is in their second day today. That was a long night for their first rounds yesterday, but obviously they're back to back the two NBA days and then the two hockey days. So it's like I said, the off season. There's never an off season because you're right into something. They're already talking about talking about the rookie camps upcoming soon for these NHL teams, the young players, for the young prospects. You're looking to make a mark and obviously see if they get invited to the big league camp. So I'm going to say, like I said, even in the middle of the summertime, hockey is never over, even with the heat being in the high 90s and the low hundreds, wherever you may be. Obviously, it's pretty stifling. But like I said, the hockey is is never ending. So obviously, since the Stanley Cup has been 4 to 6 years, has been a Florida team. Obviously, warm weather climates have done well, even though Arizona eventually moved to Utah, but still the Southern California teams have tried and true fan bases. We'll see if they can build back into Stanley Cup contenders. But like I said, it's never a dull moment. There's tons of rumors. There's a couple moves have been made. Nobody huge. No big waves have been made yet, but a couple moves have been made. I think the Rangers are smart, giving up the 12 pick this year to complete the trade for JT Miller. I mean, that was their option to give it up, I think, this year or next year. And I think next year's class might be a little bit better, especially where they may be picking. I mean, hopefully they're not picking, high, but I mean, their goal is to be a playoff contending team every year. But I don't think anything in the 12 spot really fit their bill, because obviously they're more or less willing to trade players and sign players. Of course, you got to develop your own as well, but it's they had the option and they decided to flip that pick. Couple other moves, obviously JJ Peterka, obviously he's a good young player for Buffalo. Stop me if you heard before, and he's moved on to another team, and that team is now Utah. So obviously trying to follow in the footsteps of Eichel in Vegas and Ryan O'Reilly into St. Louis, and of course Sammy Reinhart in Florida, winning cups after having spent some time with the Buffalo organization. So we'll see if their crack drafting team is able to, they didn't draft Ryan O'Reilly, but their crack development team is able to cause a Stanley Cup winner down the road for another franchise. So we'll see. Utah's doing what's right. Obviously, it was a good move. I'm surprised some teams are snoozing a little bit. I think the price wasn't too high to get him, and I think he's under control for another year, and then obviously you got to pay him. But he's a good young player. He gives you good numbers. He's the kind of player you need on your team. I don't know if he's a top line, scoring winger, but he's definitely a guy who's going to be a second or third line production. He's still young and he's still semi affordable. So it's a good move. Utah's kind of looking at things as they're kind of an existing franchise. They're not an expansion, so they moved from Arizona, so they still have some good core pieces, and they're just kind of swapping guys out. They moved out Kesselring, who's a good middle pair, maybe just bottom pair defenseman, and obviously Josh Doan, the son of Shane Doan. So it's interesting to see, young players like that getting moved. Obviously, you want to get Peterka, you had to give up some quality. So Kesselring will be able to slot right into Buffalo's lineup in the middle pair or the bottom pair. And, of course, Josh Doan is going to be counted on to give them some production and see with the expanded role, see how he plays with the Sabres. But like I said, I'm always rooting for the offsprings of Shane Doan, of course. That reminds me, like I said, I did pick up for one of the future reloads, the son of Michelle Samuelson, who actually plays for Buffalo as well, Matthias Samuelson. So that's upcoming. He was actually born not far from where I live, obviously the same hospital my wife and kids are born in. So after his dad, of course, played for the Flyers a long time. They were living in South Jersey. He I think he ended up going to Michigan or out in the Midwest. But so he's technically Swedish descent, but he's his mom is from Pennsylvania someplace. So so that'll be in one of the future reloads. It's kind of cool to grab that. It's good to have another good young player. You guys may or may not watch a lot of Buffalo games, but he had a pretty good year this year. So hopefully he's taking the next steps. Obviously he's not one of their top defensemen. They have Owen Power first overall, Rasmus Dahlin first overall, but got to have good defensemen up and down your lineup if you want to build yourself into a winner. And who knows, maybe he'll end up getting moved out at some point in time and end up on a Stanley Cup team as well. Seems to be Buffalo's recipe for success elsewhere. So we'll see. Like I said, good crowd tonight. I think it's we had 13 or 14. Obviously, Big Al is away still, so he's not here. Sodic must be out of internet connection, so no Sodic. So there's a couple missing. Still at 13 people. It's good to see a bunch of you guys. A couple people made appearances. We got James M tonight, Derek F, Thomas M, Steve S, Carl Z, Justin W, Ron, Tyrone T, Nick F, Mike H, Jason M, CK, and Nick G. So it's good to see Nick G back. Been here in a while. Obviously, no Dale. Dale hit the big one last. He hit the Rob Blake, a huge hit. We've had some big hits lately. Rob Blake. We had Bondra and the Miracle on Sunday. The 1980 Team USA custom signed by Jim Craig and Mike Ruzioni with the 80 gold medal inscription. That was really cool. I think and last week we had Dylan Larkin. I mean, we've had some nice suff hit. The Patrick Kane. So we've had a lot of monsters. So hopefully, good luck if more monsters will come out. Buffalo's success. You know what it is. They've done a pretty good job of developing players, or maybe not developing, but drafting or signing. And like I said, obviously Ryan O'Reilly didn't start there, but obviously he ended up there, and obviously he moved on. He's from St. Louis, so he was there to win a cup in his hometown. Jack Eichel was the pick behind, Sidney Crosby. Obviously, that's gonna, weigh heavily on anybody. So the expectations were there, but. So that's right. Oh, you're seeing Kenny Morrow. That's cool. I'm glad that you're able to add to that fantastic jersey. Add the Ken Moore. Like I said, Ken Moore is a went from the Stanley Cup, win the gold medal in Team 80 USA, and then 4 straight cups. That was absolutely insane. The dude didn't know how to lose for like 5 straight years. Ken Moore. Like I said, I don't know if. You look at that roster, he would probably had the best NHL career. I would say that Kim Moore obviously won 4 cups. I don't think anybody else from that team won cups. I know Dave Christian had a pretty long, pretty distinguished career. I don't think anybody else really can. I mean, obviously Dave Silk. Ruzioni. I don't think he ever played. Obviously, Jim Craig only played a couple games with a couple different franchises. He was with Boston and Calgary, I think, but most of that team, they were college kids that put together a perfect run. Obviously, they believed what their coach was telling them, Herb Brooks, and they got it done. Like I said, sometimes you got things just to go your way. So, like I said, he did definitely won the gold medal and then straight to 4 cups, which is pretty impressive. Like Kim Moore, like you said, obviously he wasn't the best of the defensemen on that Isles team. Obviously, that's Potvin, but who's in the boxes, so you guys are chasing that too. But he was a good, solid defenseman, and he definitely did well in the pros. So I would say he probably accomplished the most out of anybody from the 1980 Team USA team. But that was pretty cool. Like I said, it's good when you get those products. I'm always hunting for cool stuff from you, for you guys chasing the boxes. In fact, I think I do have another one of those. I have to go through my stuff I have for the upcoming reloads, but of course I wasn't thinking of it because it was still boxed up. But I think I might have another Craig Ruzioni. I'm almost positive. So, but like I said, I want to let you guys know. Make the announcement today. Just to let you guys know, I'm going to make the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup legend Kevin Shattenkirk a trigger box. So if we hit Shattenkirk, I will open up another box completely free. So just so you guys know, be rooting for your spots or the Shattenkirk. If Shattenkirk hits, and I'll open up another box. So just to let you guys know, we've had that before. We've had trigger boxes. We had one trigger box that took a long time to hit. We had one trigger box that was hit almost immediately. Of course, your odds of Shattenkirk hitting are 1 in 39 right now. Is just like every other box. But if Shattenkirk does hit, Shat Deuces comes out, sees the light of day, I will open another box completely for free. So that's fun for you guys. So basically, every one of your spots, you get a second chance at hitting your spot if Shattenkirk hits. So that's just fun. Obviously, just to give back to me to you guys. Obviously, it's kind of like having the Shattenkirk in the box with whatever else we're going to hit that night. So Shattenkirk is a trigger box that will stay. That will not change no matter how many boxes we get down to, no matter how many boxes we get back up to. As of right now, Shattenkirk is our trigger box. I have a Shattenkirk in my PC. Like I said, he scored one of the biggest goals in the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup run It was huge, and so I'm always going to be near and dear to him. Obviously, he bounced around a couple places, but he was the Rangers, and like I said, I'm more than happy to have him be the trigger box. So Shattenkirk hits, another box will be open. We'll just random for another one right after that. So it'll be the same numbers, whatever we hit. Shattenkirk, if it's like 7 randoms, 10 randoms, whatever the same amount, we'll do the same amount of randoms that Shattenkirk is, just to keep things kind of easy. If it's 12 times, we'll do 12 times again for the second box. So, like I said, I mean, just make sure everybody knows. I know a lot of you guys don't listen with sound, or if you're not paying attention. But if you're confused, if Shattenkirk does show up, we will open up a second box completely at free. So that's kind of my give back to you guys. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, like I said, Friday was huge. Yeah, that's three. They wouldn't as the same thing. Like I said, they're talking about Gonchar. Gonchar won, I think, one as a player, and I think he won 2 now as a coach with the Pens, and obviously he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. So, and like I said, our Hall of Fame was a nice stacked bunch this year. We had some great first timers, and I'm glad that they all got in. Joe Thornton, getting in with obviously getting in with the Stanley Cup, the Hall of Famers that got in. It was such a good class, and it was lovely to see. It was good to see McGillney finally get in after 17 years. Long overdue. Obviously, whether or not you feel his numbers warranted, obviously he played, some of his time in Russia. Obviously, he was during an era too when these guys missed a couple years from work stoppages. Obviously the 1 year that they were playing in Europe. So I mean, it's good to see him finally get into the Hall. Like I said, it was a good batch. There's no qualms with the selections. So it's the ones that went in. Dougie Keith, obviously, was well deserved with his Norris Trophy win and the Stanley Cups. So it was good to see. Good to see him get in. So you knew they were going to take too many defensemen. So I'm still hoping that maybe Gonchar gets in over the next couple of years. Obviously, if there's kind of a lull, if there's they need to put somebody in that year where it looks a little lean. We'll say, like I said, I haven't even seen who's eligible for next season, but obviously people are still rooting for certain players like Cujo. People are still rooting for guys like Keith Kachuk. These guys just obviously carry prices now at that list after not getting in this year. So these guys are probably close. If they win, if they get in next year or the year after. We'll see how that goes. So, like I said, let's get going. Just one box tonight. These spots are live on eBay. Whatever hits tonight, of course, I'll end that. And I'll be sending stuff out either tomorrow or Saturday, probably Saturday. The stuff that hit on Sunday and hit yesterday and today, or Tuesday and today. So we'll see how that goes. Let's get going with my randoms. Where is it? My dice roller. My lists. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, like always, we do 5 or more on our dice roll. The boxes are all here in order, of course. 60, the only one from last year. Then we have 2. Then we have 2, 2, 3, 4, like 8 maybe, and then obviously we have, I think, 2, 1 from the reloads. There we go, all the way up to 32. Obviously on the table there's 24, and then 15 on the shelf. So good luck. 39 boxes. Let's see. Good luck, everybody. 5 or more on our dice. Let me see. We got 5. 5 times. Easy enough. 5 times our lists. Good luck, everybody. See what we got. See what a monster shows. Or Shattenkirk. 39 boxes. 2, 3, 4. And the box we're going to open tonight is going to be box number 25. 25 is in the reload. 25. 5 times box 25. Okie dokes. Okay. Let me back that out. Easy enough. Okay. Make my notes. Box 25. Okay. Got my lists. Okay. Bunch of people in this. Like I said, there's, we're looking at 3, 6, 12, 15, 19 of the 20 reload jerseys are still live. Let's see what we got. Box number 25. Of course, it's right here. There we go. 14 on the shelf. Box 25. Here we go. There we go. Good luck, everybody. My lists. Where's my lists? Okay. Let's see what we got. Said we're now down to 38 for Sunday. So make sure you get your bids in at your leisure. Have a couple days to get that in there. Friday, Saturday, and then all day Sunday. So get your bids in. Like I said, these are the best eBays last week and this week to get your spots as cheap as possible. So here's your time to hit. Box 25, though, will not be available. It is going to be, okay, no longer there, but here it is. Just a beautiful jersey. Oliver Ekman Larson, Arizona Coyotes, the Desert Dogs, the Screaming Coyotes, obviously now the Utah. There it is, Oliver Ekman Larson, AJ COA, Oliver Ekman Larson, Adidas Pro. There it is. Oh, such a beautiful. Look at that. With the C. Oliver Ekman Larson. I forgot I had the C on it. The Howlin' Coyote. There it is. Beautiful Adidas Pro. Of course, fight straps. Fight strap. There we go. I can't find it. There it is. Fight strapped up. Pro model Oliver Ekman Larson. The Howlin' Coyote. For anybody that doesn't have Howlin' Coyote, obviously they're getting a little tougher to find. You don't see them as much anymore. With the paw print, with the A for Arizona. This is no longer the Phoenix Coyotes. They changed to the Arizona Coyotes. And there it is. Oliver Ekman Larson. Blue Ink Sig. Very, very nice. I know a lot of you guys are trying to complete leagues, even though Arizona technically doesn't count. So I'm always on the lookout for Arizona because I know a lot of you don't have Phoenix, Arizona Coyote jerseys in your PCs. I have a Doan similar to this. But, congratulations on the Oliver Ekman Larson. Let's see who that is. Oliver Ekman Larson goes to Derek. Congratulations, Derek. Coming out of the woodwork, coming out of left field, hitting the Ekman Larson. OEL is the winner tonight. So there you go. Congratulations. Like I said, we haven't had Derek. He hasn't won in quite some time. So it's good to see some of you guys hitting off the schneid. Obviously, Dale hit the big Rob Blake Tuesday, and Derek comes through with the OEL on Thursday. So there we go. Congratulations, Derek. Sorry for everybody, of course, it did not hit. Your odds this Sunday have actually gotten better now. 1 in 38 and 1 in 37 are 2 boxes on Sunday. So looking forward to everybody's bids on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing what we hit. Like I said, lots of monsters still in there. 18 reload jerseys still in there. So definitely chase your new stuff, chase your old stuff. Make sure you get your spots. And, of course, the Shattenkirk stays the trigger box. So Shattenkirk hits, another box will open completely at free. So if you don't hit your spot, root for Shattenkirk. That's going to be the deal. So congratulations again to Derek. Very, very nice OEL. I think he's actually trying to complete the league, too. I don't think he had a Coyotes jersey. So congratulations to him. Thank you much, everybody. I will look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday. Enjoy your next couple of days, whatever you may be doing. A draft. We got a draft. So we can talk about that when we get back on Sunday. But enjoy it tomorrow. Enjoy it on Saturday. I'm not going to tune in much on Saturday, second and third. Obviously, there's some major players. That was some big stars. Obviously, Braden Point, was later rounds, second and third rounds. Kucherov, second, third round. So if your GM knows what they're doing, your scouting department is top notch. Of course, you're going to pick up some big players in those second, third, fourth rounds. So it's worth watching if you have your team to see who they take. It's going to be tougher and a little less time between picks if you watch in the second and third round. But tomorrow should be fun, even though it's not as a big wide spectacle as it has been in the past. But it's still going to be fun from TV purposes. So thank you much, guys. Enjoy the draft tomorrow. We'll talk about it on Sunday. Waffle Board Breaks is out of here. Take care, guys.